Hey, welcome. Enjoy the content. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Melissa smiled like she hadn't in a long time. Ever since Tiffany had announced her engagement, Melissa had made it her mission to turn every detail of her sister's wedding into something unforgettable. The two of them had always been close, and despite the age difference, their bond was unbreakable. Formed from years of shared childhood memories, secrets whispered between them, and afternoons filled with laughter until their stomachs ached. Tiffany's wedding felt like the perfect opportunity to relive those moments, to create another chapter of memories between them. Melissa eagerly volunteered to take charge of everything, organizing the bridal shower, choosing the invitations, even picking out the desserts for the reception. But what excited her most was the bachelorette party. The idea came up casually during a dinner at their parents' house. Tiffany mentioned she didn't want a typical party filled with exaggerated games and endless drinking. She wanted something more intimate, something special. Without hesitation, Melissa suggested the family's country house. It was secluded, spacious, and surrounded by childhood memories. The idea was simple. One night, just the closest friends, laughter, stories from the past, 2000s music, and late-night conversations. Just women, as it had always been. Tiffany loved it. It was perfect. No clubs, no crazy trips, just a night spent with those who truly mattered. As the preparations went forward, Melissa took full control. She ordered light snacks, prepared little souvenirs with old photos, made the beds, and cleaned the backyard. The cousins confirmed their attendance, and the childhood friends, those who had known Tiffany since elementary school, promised they would do whatever it took to be there. Each of them carried a unique story with Tiffany. It was a reunion everyone had been looking forward to, and Melissa was determined to make sure everything went perfectly. For her, it was a chance to reconnect with the essence of female friendships: closeness, loyalty, and support. Kyle, Melissa's husband, wasn't as enthusiastic. When she told him about the party, he immediately questioned her. Who was going? Why did it have to be so far from town if it was meant to be a girls-only event? Melissa laughed, dismissing his concern. She thought his worry was unnecessary, telling him it would just be a quiet night, and urged him to relax. Kyle tried to hide his unease, but it was obvious he wasn't completely comfortable. They'd had arguments in the past about parties that had gotten out of hand, and he had felt disrespected during certain situations. However, this time Melissa was careful with her words. She reassured him that she respected their relationship, understood boundaries, and that the last thing she wanted to do was cause him any doubt. Kyle took a deep breath, trying to trust her. In the days leading up to the party, Melissa busied herself with every detail. She bought drinks, hired a local decorator to create something simple yet elegant, made personalized gifts, and curated playlists. At home, Kyle observed quietly, it was clear how excited she was, almost as if it were her own wedding. Though a part of him still felt something was off, he did his best to smile, support her, and express his wishes for Tiffany's happiness. The night before the trip, Melissa gave him a tight hug, telling him she'd be back the next day, and that he could relax while she was gone. Kyle smiled back, but his eyes betrayed a different emotion. By late afternoon, the women gathered outside the house to head to the country house. There were 10 of them, cousins, childhood friends, and college friends, all arriving wearing matching t-shirts, laughing loudly, taking selfies, and buzzing with excitement for the night ahead. Tiffany got into Melissa's car, saying that this would be one of the most unforgettable nights of her life. Melissa, behind the wheel, smiled proudly. She couldn't have known that those words would hold a much deeper meaning than they realized at the time. What was about to unfold in that isolated house would change the course of all their lives forever. The women returned the next morning, tired but smiling. Some exchanged messages along the way, sending photos in their group chat dedicated to organizing the bachelorette party. Melissa got home to find Kyle in the kitchen, making coffee. He asked how it went, his tone attempting to remain neutral. Though deep down, he was full of questions and doubts. She hugged him from behind, responding casually, as if nothing unusual had happened. Just like we agreed. Just us, gossiping and laughing. It was good, she said. Kyle looked into her eyes, searching for any hint of discomfort. But she seemed calm. There was no guilt in her eyes, only the tiredness and lightheartedness of someone returning from a normal night spent with friends. The next few days passed in peaceful routine. Tiffany got back to the whirlwind of final wedding preparations, and Melissa helped where she could, checking small tasks off the list and confirming details with the wedding planner. Kyle tried to push the unsettling feeling out of his mind, the sense that something wasn't quite right, even though he couldn't put his finger on it. Even though Melissa's answer had sounded convincing, an unease still lingered, like an invisible stone stuck in his shoe. Nothing concrete, just an instinct that kept whispering. But everything changed 3 days before the wedding when Kyle received a text message from a friend, Thomas, married to one of the women who also attended the bachelorette party. "Dude, I need to talk to you now. This can't wait. It's serious." The message was followed by a link to a video with no additional explanation. Kyle was at work sitting in front of his computer. When he read that, his heart sped up, and for a few seconds he sat frozen staring at the screen. When he clicked the link, the video started normally. Female voices, upbeat music. The countryside house lit up. Then the image became clear. Tiffany danced in the middle of the living room with a shirtless man, while in the background, Melissa walked by with a drink in her hand, laughing and pulling another man by the arm. The video caption read, "The party that was supposed to be only for women." Kyle froze. He rewound parts of the video, paused certain moments, zoomed in on faces, gestures, details. It wasn't fake news. It was proof. With every passing second, his stomach twisted tighter. The video left no doubt. What had happened in that countryside house was far from the version Melissa had told. The party had taken an unexpected turn, and now it was there, exposed, recorded, spreading across groups and social networks. Thomas sent another message. "I don't know if you've seen, but there are more than one videos going around. And worse, people are tagging names." Kyle lost his footing. The last bit of trust dissolved. What was once just suspicion was now betrayal. With a clear address, date, and well-defined participants, Kyle spent hours processing what he had just seen in the office. The video stayed paused on his laptop screen while he sat motionless in front of it. It felt like each scene had burned not only into his mind but into his body. His shoulders felt heavy, his throat burned, and his stomach felt empty. He needed to get out of there. He stood up, shut the laptop forcefully, grabbed his car keys, and left without saying a word to anyone. The drive home felt longer than usual. He thought about everything she had said that morning, the way she hugged him and lied so casually. That ate at his soul. As soon as he parked, he stayed in the car for a few seconds, trying to steady his breathing. When he walked in, Melissa was in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone with a half-finished glass of water beside her. When she saw her husband, she gave him a smile like nothing had happened. Kyle slowly walked over to her, pulled his phone from his pocket, and placed it on the table. Without saying a word, he pressed play on the video and stood still, watching her reaction. Melissa's eyes widened, then dropped to the floor. She tried to mutter something, but Kyle raised his hand, signaling silence. "I saw everything from start to finish. And before you try to come up with any excuse, just know one thing. You destroyed everything." Melissa tried to get closer, reaching out to touch his arm, but Kyle stepped back. He stared into her eyes with the coldness of someone who had just buried a love built over years. His anger was silent, and that was scarier than any scream. "Get out of my house now." She was stunned. "Kyle, please. Let me explain. It was just one night. I messed up. I was drunk." "You were sober enough to hide this from me when you got back. Sober enough to lie looking me in the eye. Sober enough to smile while you cheated on me. You made your choices. Now deal with the consequences." Melissa tried to argue, saying she needed to take her things, her clothes, at least her phone and purse. Kyle calmly opened the front door and pointed. "You can get all that later. Today you leave with what you have on." She stood still for a few seconds in disbelief, as if waiting for him to change his mind. But his look was that of someone who had closed a door that would never open again. Slowly, she walked toward the exit. Before stepping through the doorway, she softly said, "I never meant to hurt you." Kyle didn't respond. He simply closed the door firmly behind her, locked it, and walked away without looking back. He stood insolence for a few seconds, feeling there inside the house, once a place of safety, now feel hollow with contaminated memories. Hours later, he packed his own bags. He didn't want to stay in that house anymore. He left everything behind. Furniture, photographs, plans, promises, all of it. He only took with him the dignity of someone who, even when betrayed, didn't sink to the same level. He left a short note on the living room table where Melissa used to put the flowers he bought every Sunday. "You ruined our story for something that lasted one night. The difference is that own night will live forever in everyone's memory." After that, he got in his car and drove away. The town, too small to keep secrets, was already in flames. The impact on the town was immediate. In less than 24 hours, the videos spread everywhere like wildfire. Ashbridge, previously known for its local fairs and peaceful vibe, became the joke of neighboring towns. The scandal passed from group to group, reaching churches, schools, stores, and even the elderly men who spent their mornings playing dominoes at the park. As soon as someone opened their phone, The question flew around. Have you seen the bachelorette party video? What shocked people most was that as the images spread, names began to connect to faces. Melissa, Tiffany, Heather, Anna, Claire, Julia, and Beth all were identified, some by facial features, others by clothes, tattoos, bracelets, or simply because someone from the neighborhood recognized them. With the video exposed, the husband's reactions were devastating. Thomas, who had sent the message to Kyle, kicked Heather out the same day and said the kids would stay with him. Julia came home to find her bags packed on the porch and a note with just 3 words. "You ended everything." Beth tried to argue she was pressured by her friends, but her husband replied with a video of her walking into the bedroom laughing with another man. Homes emptied out. Neighbors whispered from one sidewalk to the other. Kids started asking why their moms were crying locked in their rooms. Teachers reported students becoming withdrawn. Parents called schools requesting their children not sit near the kids of those involved. Even people not directly connected to the situation felt the shame splash onto them. The small town where everyone knew each other by name, surname, and family history now carried a new label: the town of the bachelorette party. While the husbands made drastic decisions, the group of women who organized the party continued chatting in the messaging app. They used the group to try to understand what had happened, how that video ended up circulating so widely, and especially who filmed it. At 3 a.m., Melissa broke the silence with a direct question. "Does anyone here know who filmed it?" 5 minutes of silence. Then Claire answered, "It had to be one of the dancers. I didn't see anyone with a phone, but thinking back, we were drunk." Heather added, "I think they filmed secretly. We were too distracted to notice." Anna reacted angrily. "They filmed and posted it on purpose. Was it all planned?" Julia tried calming everyone. "Guys, we don't know for sure, but we need to find out. The whole town has seen it." Melissa typed one last line before leaving the group. "Finding out won't change the fact that I lost my husband. And the worst part, I can't even justify what I did." Shortly after, 2 more left the group. Those who stayed kept texting, trying to find a culprit, a reason, a way to stop what is already unstoppable. But none of them could undo what everyone already knew. What happened in that countryside house spilled beyond the gates and turned into ruin in each of their lives. The Bennett house, once a symbol of respect in town, sank into silence and shame. Mr. Charles, Melissa, and Tiffany's father took days to face neighbors again. Even the older ones who had known him since youth avoided eye contact at the grocery store. When he finally decided to go to church, he noticed the empty seats around his. It was as if the shame was contagious. Their mother stopped leaving the house. She refused visitors, even avoiding opening the curtains. The phone rang often, but she preferred pretending noon was calling. Charles, trying at least to save the family's honor, recorded a short video with his phone. He spoke calmly but firmly. He said his daughters were raised with values and principles, and that action didn't reflect the upbringing they received. He publicly admitted his pain and said he didn't agree with what happened. In one part of the video, his voice cracked. "I raised girls who knew the difference between right and wrong, but when they came back from college, they seemed different, colder, more distant than we believed possible." The video went viral, shared in groups as the father who had the courage. Many praised his stance, others said it was too late. To some it was noble, to others just desperation to clean the family name. In town, life went on, but nothing was the same. Restaurants once full emptied when one of the involved women walked in. Parents transferred their kids to different schools. People started claiming distant relatives and searched for documents to change their last names. Commerce lost business. Tourists avoided Ashbridge, and locals even started using nicknames when talking about the town with outsiders. The town entrance sign, once a source of pride, woke up one day painted red with graffiti, reading, "Town of the Bachelorette Party." No one dared erase it. It stayed there as Ascar. Melissa tried rebuilding her life. She looked for jobs in other cities. But whenever she gave her full name, people smirked uncomfortably asked awkward questions. Tiffany stopped using social media. She deleted old photos, tried changing her look, even considered moving to another country. But every attempt to restart was dragged back by the past. Because this wasn't just a scandal, it was a mark. Then weeks later came the final summons. Kyle's divorce papers had been filed. Melissa didn't try to stop it. She knew he wouldn't return. The biggest surprise was when he showed up in person at the courthouse to sign. He walked in quietly, hair shorter, looking tired but determined. Melissa was already seated, nervous, trying to steady her trembling hands. When he walked in, she stood up, opened her mouth to speak. But he walked straight past, sat at the table, signed where needed, and stood up. He didn't even glance in her direction. He left the way he came, silently, firmly, like someone closing a chapter they didn't want to remember. Melissa stood there, eyes filled with tears, holding the divorce paper in her hand. It was in that moment she truly understood some actions cost too much, and sometimes regret comes too late when love is no longer in the room or in the heart. And Tiffany's wedding, well, let's just say it was canceled. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any updates. See you next.